The warning unheeded. The grand chamber of the Galactic Federation stretched across nearly a kilometer of polished stone and gleaming metals. Tiered seating rose in concentric circles, accommodating representatives from over 800 species, across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. Light filtered through crystal panels overhead, casting rainbow patterns across the assembly. For 6,000 years, the Federation had maintained peace and order throughout known space. Elder Zaxos shuffled toward the central platform, his ancient body moving with deliberate care. At nearly 400 years old, he was among the oldest, living members of the Eurasian species. His once luminous skin had dulled to a pale blue, and the sensory tendrils framing his face had thinned with age. The chamber quieted as he took his position at the speaker's dais. "Honored representatives," Zaxos began, his voice stronger than his frail appearance suggested. "I come before you today with a matter of grave importance. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected an emerging species in the Orion Spur. They call themselves humans." High Counselor Thala, a tall, willowy Vastrian with iridescent scales, leaned forward. "Another spacefaring species crosses the threshold. This is routine, Elder Zaxos. Our protocols for first contact are well established." "This species is different," Zaxos insisted, tapping his walking staff against the platform. "I have studied their transmissions for the past 80 cycles. Their development curve is unprecedented, from primitive combustion engines to rudimentary space travel in less than 200 years. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Such advancement was unusually rapid, but not unheard of. Moreover, Zaxos continued, they possess a unique combination of traits that warrants caution. They are remarkably adaptable, intensely curious, and disturbingly resilient. They thrive in environments that would kill most sentient species, and most concerning, they advance fastest when threatened." Director Kresh of the Science Division, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence, waved a dismissive hand. "With respect, Elder, these characteristics appear in many species. The Drevity are equally adaptable. The Xeraxians are known for their curiosity." "Not like this," Zaxos insisted. "Not all at once, and not with their particular psychology. Humans unite in the face of external threats. They cooperate instinctively when challenged by forces greater than themselves." High Counselor Thala's patience was clearly wearing thin. "Elder Zaxos, while we value your experience, your warning seems excessive. This emerging species is confined to a single planet. Their ships are primitive. Their understanding of galactic physics is elementary at best." "They have split the atom," Zaxos countered. "They have mapped their own genome. They have created digital networks spanning their world, all in less than a century." General Moxar of the Federation Defense Force, a hulking figure with armored skin, leaned forward. "Have they developed quantum weaponry? Gravity manipulation? Dimensional folding?" "No," Zaxos admitted. "Then they pose no military threat," Moxar concluded. Zaxos closed his eyes briefly. They were missing the point entirely. "I have seen this pattern before, not in my lifetime but in our archives. The predecessor races documented similar characteristics. In the Vextal, who rose to prominence and then extinguished themselves in a devastating civil war." The chamber fell uncomfortably silent. The Vextal were rarely discussed. Their ruins still dotted several worlds, monuments to a species that had advanced too quickly for their own survival. First Minister Alara, the highest authority in the Federation Council, spoke for the first time. "What action are you proposing, Elder?" "Careful, controlled contact," Zaxos replied. "We should establish boundaries now, while they still view us with awe. We should guide their development, instill Federation values before they expand beyond their solar system. Interference in pre-FTL civilizations is prohibited by our highest laws," First Minister Alara stated firmly. "You know this, Elder." "Exceptions have been made when necessary," Zaxos argued. "Based on imminent threats, not speculative concerns. From historical analogies," Thala countered. The debate continued for hours, but Zaxos could see the outcome was predetermined. The Council was too comfortable in their superiority, too confident in the established order. Eventually, First Minister Alara called for a vote. The motion to establish early contact with humans was rejected by an overwhelming majority. "We will continue monitoring this species," Alara announced. "When they achieve independent FTL travel, we will welcome them according to established protocols." The Council thanks Elder Zaxos for his vigilance, but finds no cause for exceptional measures at this time. Zaxos bowed his head in formal acceptance, but his heart was heavy. As he shuffled from the chamber, his aide Naren joined him. "They won't. Listen," Naren whispered. "Not until it's too late." "No," Zaxos agreed. "They never do." 5 years later, the inevitable occurred. A human exploration vessel, the ESS Pathfinder, discovered one of the Federation's automated monitoring stations at the edge of their solar system. Rather than reporting the discovery and waiting for instructions, the humans had done something unprecedented. They had captured the station, reverse-engineered its systems, and used it to transmit a modified signal into deep space. The signal reached Outpost Zeta 9, a minor Federation installation commanded by Ambassador Nyria. The young Thalasian diplomat had been assigned to this backwater post as punishment for her unorthodox views. When the modified signal arrived, she recognized it immediately as an opportunity. "Prepare my personal vessel," she instructed her staff, "and tell no one of this transmission." Nyria's decision to make unauthorized first contact with humans would later be seen as either the greatest diplomatic achievement in Federation history or its most catastrophic error, depending on who was asked. Captain Elena Reyes of the ESS Pathfinder was expecting many possible reactions to humanity's first alien encounter: fear, aggression, indifference. What she hadn't expected was enthusiasm. "You modified our monitoring station?" Ambassador Nyria asked, her translators working overtime to convert her harmonic speech to English. "Improved its signal range? Fascinating." Reyes exchanged glances with her science officer. "The technology was compatible with our systems. We meant no offense." "Offense?" Nyria's facial membranes fluttered in what the humans would later learn was an expression of amusement. "Captain Reyes, you've accomplished something our engineers would consider nearly impossible with your level of technology." And so began an exchange that violated nearly every Federation protocol for first contact. Nyria, fed up with the stagnation she perceived in Federation culture, saw in humans exactly what Elder Zaxos had warned about. But where he saw danger, she saw opportunity. Within months, Nyria had established unofficial trade relations with Earth. Federation technology flowed one way, while human innovation flowed the other. The Federation's monitoring station, designed simply to observe and report, had been transformed by humans into a communications hub, linking Earth to Outpost Zeta 9. Dr. Eliza Chen, lead xenobiologist for the Earth diplomatic team, found herself working closely with Grelk, a Federation scientist who had joined Nyria's growing rogue operation. "Your approach to genetic engineering is unusual," Grelk noted, his eye stalks swiveling to examine Chen's work. "You focus on practical applications rather than theoretical purity." "We don't have the luxury of time," Chen replied. "Earth has environmental problems that need solutions now, not in a century." This pragmatic approach characterized humans in ways that both impressed and disturbed Federation observers. Humans didn't wait for perfect solutions. They implemented good enough solutions, then improved them iteratively. They didn't respect established procedures for their own sake. They asked why, how, and most disturbingly, why not? As news of the contact spread through unofficial channels, more Federation scientists and diplomats found excuses to visit Outpost Zeta 9. They came with warnings and reprimands, but left fascinated by the humans. The Federation's technological advantage was immense, but humans approached problems with a creativity that many Federation species had lost over millennia of stable development. When the High Council finally learned of Nyria's unauthorized contact, they were faced with a fate accompli. Humans had already incorporated Federation communication technology into their systems. They had already begun adapting Federation medical concepts to cure terrestrial diseases. The proverbial cat was out of the bag. High Counselor Thala called an emergency session. This situation is unprecedented. Ambassador Neria has violated our most sacred protocols. And yet, Director Kresh noted, the humans have shown remarkable restraint. They haven't used our technology to develop weapons. They've focused on medicine, communications, and environmental restoration. For now, General Moxar growled. Give them time. First Minister Ilara raised her hand for silence. Where is Elder Zaxos? He warned us of this species. His insight would be valuable now. Elder Zaxos retired to the sanctuary moons after the Council rejected his recommendations. An aide informed her. He refuses all communication. Ilara closed her eyes briefly. Perhaps we should have heeded his warning. It's too late for that, Thala said. The humans know about us now. The question is what we do moving forward. The debate raged for days. Some advocated for immediate military intervention to contain the humans. Others argued for formal diplomatic recognition. In the end, the Council chose a middle path. They would establish official relations with Earth, but with strict limitations on technology transfer and human expansion. Ambassador Neria was officially reprimanded, but secretly commended, by several Council members who saw the potential in human innovation. She was appointed as the official Federation representative to Earth, tasked with managing the relationship she had initiated. When the Council's decision was announced to the human delegation, Captain Reyes, now Admiral Reyes, had a simple question. Why can't we establish colonies on uninhabited worlds within 50 light-years of our solar system? Those worlds are empty. Federation protocols require new species to demonstrate stability for at least 200 years before colonial expansion, Thala explained. But that's arbitrary, Reyes objected. Earth is becoming overcrowded. We have the technology, with your help, to establish sustainable colonies without harming any existing ecosystems. This questioning of fundamental Federation policies was exactly what Elder Zaxos had warned about. Humans didn't accept limitations without reason, and because that's our policy wasn't a reason they found compelling. As the first year of official Human Federation relations came to a close, Elder Zaxos emerged from his self-imposed exile. He requested an audience with First Minister Ilara, who granted it immediately. You were right, Ilara admitted as Zaxos settled his aged frame into a chair in her private chambers. The humans are challenging our assumptions. It's only beginning, Zaxos said quietly. They're still in awe of our technology, still grateful for our medical knowledge. But soon they'll want more. Not just technology, but influence. A voice in Federation decisions. They are one species among hundreds, Ilara said firmly. They must earn their place like all others. Zaxos leaned forward, his faded eyes suddenly intense. You still don't understand. Other species accepted their place because they evolved gradually, achieved spaceflight after thousands of years of development. Their cultures were stable, their ambitions tempered by time. And the humans? The humans went from primitive flight to walking on their moon in less than 70 years. From basic computing to global information networks in 50. Their entire civilization operates at a pace we can barely comprehend. Ilara stood and paced the length of her chamber. What would you have me do? We cannot undo first contact. We cannot hide our existence from them now. No, Zaxos agreed. But you can prepare the Federation for change. Because change is coming, whether we welcome it or not. As Zaxos departed, Ilara felt a chill despite the controlled climate of her chambers. For 6,000 years, the Federation had been the unchallenged authority in the galaxy. Now, a species from an insignificant planet in an unremarkable star system threatened to upend that order, not through military might, but through their insatiable curiosity, their relentless innovation, and their stubborn refusal to accept limitations. The warning had been given and ignored. Now the Federation would pay the price. The price of arrogance. 5 years after first contact, humans had become an inescapable presence in Federation space. Despite the Council's restrictions, human diplomatic missions had established outposts on 17 Federation worlds. Human technology, a strange hybrid of Federation science and Earth ingenuity, was increasingly sought after. Admiral Elena Reyes, now Earth's primary representative to the Federation, stood at the viewport of Nexus Station, watching ships come and go. The massive space station served as the primary hub for human Federation interactions, a neutral territory where ideas and technologies could be exchanged without violating the letter of Federation law. Impressive, isn't it? Ambassador Neria joined her at the viewport. Over the years, the Thalasian diplomat had become Reyes's closest ally among the Federation species. "It's growing faster than we anticipated," Reyes admitted. "Sometimes I wonder if we're moving too quickly." Neria's facial membranes rippled in amusement. "You? Concerned about moving too quickly? That doesn't sound like the humans I've come to know." Reyes smiled, but her eyes remained troubled. "The Federation has maintained peace for 6,000 years. We've existed as a unified species for less than 300. Sometimes I think the Council's caution has merit." "Perhaps," Neria conceded. "But the galaxy is changing. The Federation needs fresh perspectives." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication. Neria's aide rushed to her side, whispering rapidly in their native language. The ambassador's expression shifted dramatically, her membranes flattening against her face in what Reyes recognized as alarm. "What is it?" Reyes asked. "The Scourge," Neria whispered. "They've returned." The Scourge, Reyes had heard the term in historical briefings, an ancient enemy of the Federation, a species that had vanished into deep space centuries ago after a devastating war. Details were sparse, as Federation records on the conflict were highly classified. "How bad?" Reyes asked. 3 outer colony. Worlds have gone silent. The Defense Force has lost contact with 2 patrol fleets." Neria's voice trembled. "This is unprecedented in modern Federation history." Within hours, Nexus Station became a hub of frantic activity. Federation military vessels arrived in formation, their sleek designs contrasting with the more utilitarian, human ships. General Moxar himself arrived to take command of the Federation response. A war council was hastily convened. Reyes found herself invited, not out of courtesy, but necessity. Humanity's colonies were close to the conflict zone. "The Scourge ships have changed," General Moxar reported, displaying holographic images of the enemy vessels. "Their technology has evolved. Our standard defense protocols are ineffective." "What exactly are they?" Reyes asked. "Your historical records are incomplete." The Federation officials exchanged uncomfortable glances. "The Scourge are not a single species," Moxar finally explained. "They are a collective of genetically engineered beings, created millennia ago as servants. They rebelled against their creators and developed a society based on constant evolution and adaptation." "Like a virus," murmured Dr. Chen, who had accompanied Reyes to the meeting. "An apt analogy," Moxar agreed. "They absorb useful traits from species they encounter. They incorporate technology they capture. Each encounter makes them stronger." The implications were chilling. The Federation, with its standardized technology and rigid protocols, was ill-equipped to face an enemy that evolved with each engagement. Over the next several weeks, the situation deteriorated rapidly. Federation worlds began falling one by one. Refugees poured into core systems. The Defense Force, accustomed to minor border disputes and piracy, found itself outmaneuvered by an enemy that seemed to anticipate their standardized tactics. Reyes watched the reports with growing concern. Humanity's fledgling colonies were vulnerable, yet the Federation seemed paralyzed by adherence to military protocols that clearly weren't working. During a particularly disastrous battle, Reyes observed from the command center of Nexus Station as Federation vessels maintained perfect formation and were systematically destroyed by Scourge ships that attacked in seemingly random patterns. "This isn't working," she told Moxar bluntly after the battle. "You need to adapt. We are following established protocols for Your protocols are getting your people killed, Reyes interrupted. The Scourge are learning your patterns. You need to change tactics. Moxar's armored skin flushed dark with irritation. Admiral Reyes, while we appreciate Earth's concern, the Defense Force has defended the Federation for millennia. Against enemies that fought conventionally, Reyes countered. This enemy is different. Let us help. Humans have no experience in space warfare, Moxar dismissed. No, but we have extensive experience in asymmetric warfare, Reyes persisted. Throughout our history, smaller forces have defeated larger ones by being unpredictable, by changing tactics, by thinking differently. The conversation might have ended there, but First Minister Ilara had been listening silently. What would you suggest, Admiral? Before Reyes could answer, an alert sounded. A Federation colony in the Arcturus sector, near the heart of Federation space, had fallen. The Scourge were no longer confined to the outer regions. Give me 5 ships, Reyes said into the stunned silence that followed. Just 5. Let me show you what humans can do. Desperation finally overcame protocol. Ilara authorized the deployment, though Moxar objected strenuously. 5 Federation vessels were temporarily placed under Reyes's command. What followed astonished the Federation military. Rather than maintaining the tight formations favored by Federation doctrine, Reyes split her small fleet into unpredictable patterns. She established random communication protocols that changed hourly. Most surprisingly, she occasionally ordered her ships to behave inefficiently, to waste fuel on unnecessary maneuvers, to power down systems briefly during non-critical moments. What are you doing? Moxar demanded after observing these tactics. Creating noise, Reyes explained. The Scourge adapt to patterns. We're giving them garbage data to process. Unpredictability is our advantage. When the Scourge attacked the Arcturus sector again, they encountered Reyes's small fleet. The battle lasted 14 hours. When it ended, 3 of Reyes's 5 ships remained, and the Scourge had been repelled for the first time since their return. The victory was minor in the grand scheme of the war, but its psychological impact was profound. Federation military leaders began to reconsider their approach. Reyes found herself invited to strategy sessions, her input increasingly valued. Dr. Chen made another crucial discovery while studying Scourge technology recovered from the battle. They use quantum entanglement for communication, she reported. It's how they coordinate so effectively. Federation ships use the same technology, a Federation scientist noted. Yes, but you use standardized frequencies, Chen explained. The Scourge have learned to monitor them. If we randomize the entanglement patterns. This insight led to a breakthrough. Federation ships began using human-developed algorithms to randomize their quantum communications. The Scourge, unable to anticipate Federation movements as easily, began suffering defeats. As the tide of war gradually turned, something else was changing. Humans, once viewed as upstart newcomers, were increasingly seen as valuable allies. Their colonies, rather than being restricted, were now encouraged, particularly in regions where the Scourge had been active. Human unpredictability, it seemed, deterred the enemy. 6 months into the conflict, Elder Zaxos requested permission to address the council again. His health had deteriorated further, but his mind remained sharp. I warned you about the humans, he began, his voice barely audible in the vast chamber. But I was wrong. Murmurs of surprise rippled through the assembly. I was wrong, Zaxos continued. Because I feared them. I saw their potential and I was afraid. But now I understand that the Federation needed them. We had grown too comfortable, too rigid. The humans bring chaos, yes, but creative chaos, necessary chaos. First Minister Ilara stood. What are you saying, Elder? I'm saying that the Council must change. For 6,000 years we have guided the galaxy according to principles established by the founder species. But those principles assumed a stable universe. We are no longer in a stable universe. The implications of Zaxos' statement were revolutionary. For generations, Federation species had accepted the wisdom of the founders without question. The suggestion that their guidance might be insufficient for current challenges bordered on heresy. Yet the evidence was undeniable. Human tactics were proving effective against the scourge. Human colonies were thriving in regions where Federation settlements had struggled. Human technology, while less advanced, was evolving at a pace that astonished Federation scientists. As the war with the scourge entered its second year, the balance of power within the Federation subtly shifted. Humans were no longer petitioning for rights and recognition. They were being actively courted by Federation worlds seeking their innovation, their adaptability, their unique perspective. Admiral Reyes found herself in the awkward position of counseling patience to her own government. "We need to be careful," she advised Earth's leadership. "The Federation is changing, but change comes hard to institutions this old." "They need us more than we need them," argued the Earth Defense Minister. "We should press our advantage." "That's short-sighted," Reyes countered. "We can learn as much from them as they can from us. This isn't a competition. It's an opportunity for genuine partnership." The decisive moment came during the Battle of Proxima Centauri. The scourge, driven back in most sectors, launched a desperate attack on humanity's oldest colony. It was a calculated move. If successful, it would drive a wedge between humans and the Federation, as many would see it as a failure of Federation protection. What the scourge didn't anticipate was the joint response. Federation vessels arrived within hours of the attack, fighting alongside Earth ships in a desperate defense of the colony. The battle lasted 3 days and cost thousands of lives, but when it ended, the scourge fleet had been decimated. More importantly, Federation and human forces had fought as true allies, not as mentor and student, not as ancient power and upstart newcomer, but as equals with complementary strengths. In the aftermath, First Minister Ilara called Admiral Reyes to a private meeting. The Federation leader looked exhausted, the toll of the war evident in her drawn features. "Elder Zaxos has died," Ilara announced without preamble. Reyes bowed her head respectfully. Though she had met the elder only once, his reputation among humans had grown as his earlier warnings proved prescient. "Before his death, he shared something with me," Ilara continued. "The Vextal, the ancient species he compared humans to, they weren't destroyed by civil war as our histories record. They were absorbed by the scourge." Reyes felt a chill. "The scourge had been gone for centuries. Why return now?" "That's what troubles me," Ilara admitted. "The timing. They returned just as humans were beginning to influence Federation policy. Zaxos believed this wasn't coincidence." "What are you suggesting?" "The scourge target species that could threaten their dominance. They remain dormant until they detect a potential rival. Then they strike before that rival reaches its full potential." Ilara's expression was grim. They sensed humanity's capacity for innovation, for adaptation, qualities similar to their own. "So we're a threat to them," Reyes concluded. "Yes. And ironically, that's precisely why the Federation needs you." Ilara rose from her seat. "The Council will be meeting next week to discuss a restructuring of Federation governance. For the first time in 6,000 years, the founding principles are being reconsidered. And humanity's role? That's why I wanted to speak with you privately. The Council will be offering Earth a permanent seat, full membership, not the probationary status usually granted to new species." Reyes was momentarily speechless. Such an honor typically took centuries to achieve. "There will be opposition," Ilara warned. "Many worlds still view humans as dangerously unpredictable. But the war has made one thing clear: the Federation needs unpredictability. We need innovation. We need humanity." As Reyes left the meeting, she reflected on the strange path that had led to this moment. Elder Zaxos had warned the Federation about humanity, fearing the chaos they would bring to an ordered galaxy. He had been right about the chaos, but wrong about its value. The Federation had maintained peace through stagnation. Humanity had brought disorder, yes, but also vitality, creativity, a willingness to question established truths. And when the scourge returned, those very qualities had proved essential for survival. The irony wasn't lost on Reyes. The Federation had ignored the Elder's warnings about humans, and indeed they had paid a price, the price of fundamental change. But that change had saved them when an ancient enemy returned. Perhaps the greatest lesson wasn't about humans at all, but about the danger of complacency, of assuming that what had worked for millennia would continue to work forever. The universe didn't reward stagnation, no matter how orderly. As Nexus Station rotated slowly against the backdrop of stars, Reyes watched ships coming and going, Federation vessels with their elegant symmetry, human ships with their practical efficiency, and now, occasionally, hybrid designs that incorporated elements of both. They were different, sometimes jarringly so, but they shared the same space, served the same purpose. Unity through diversity. Perhaps that was the future of the galaxy. Not the rigid harmony the Federation had maintained for 6,000 years, but a more complex balance of different voices, different approaches, different perspectives. The elders had warned them about humans. No one had listened until it was too late to prevent change. But perhaps it wasn't too late for something better to emerge from that change. A new order, more adaptive, more resilient, ready to face whatever the universe might bring next. The warning had been heeded too late to preserve the old Federation, but perhaps just in time to create something greater.